I just wanted to show you my triple 47-inch screen sim rig that I've managed to build. Now it's nothing special, it's just the cheap $350 Australian dollars Logitech G29 controller and three 47-inch monitors, which I managed to get free, which were being thrown out by an AV company. They couldn't sell them, no one wanted them, so I got them for free. Now the thing that I really wanted to show is that this is possible to build something like this in a very, very small space. So this is right in the corner of our lounge room, which our kitchen is just here and the couches are directly behind you. A total of 16 square meters. That's like a tiny, tiny apartment, but I've still managed to make it happen. And that's with a family of 3 and no one complaining about it. When I'm not using it as a sim rig, this monitor here, originally I designed it to be on wheels, which it will be eventually. This slides out in front of all this gear, completely covering it, and then we use that as our TV in the lounge room. Now I've also got a surround sound system built in, but that's mainly for the lounge room. We've got the speaker tucked in behind here, there's a sub in behind here, and more speakers over there and more over there, but they're all sort of hidden away in the furniture. And the PC that runs the whole thing is tucked away in behind here, you can't even see it. I'm also using a few tablets, just some old tablets I had laying around. They're old and barely work anymore, but running SimLab on here, so I've got some extra controls. I've got some extra data, put another one here when in use. And the chair I'm using is just a cheap IKEA thing, but it's quite comfortable and works quite well. The desk is also a custom job. I'd spent a lot of time in Photoshop of all things, working out measurements and how to design how this was going to fit into the room. And you'll notice that the lines on the desk, they're quite odd angles, but they match the angles of the screen perfectly. Now I had to spend a lot of time in calculators as well to work out the angles of the screen and work out how they were going to move around to fit into this space and line up with the kitchen bench without making, blocking walkways and all that sort of thing. And I've got the angles at a 56-degree angle, so where I'm sitting is measured perfectly from the screens, so you can get the viewpoint, the field of view correct. And then I use the field of view calculators available online to work out, I think it's about 156 degrees that it works out, and that's about 1-to-1. So when you're sitting here, the dash lines up quite well and you can see everything through the wheel. That took a little while to really feel comfortable with. I even sat in my own car for a while just to see how things worked and where the mirrors were, and because you don't really pay attention to that sort of thing when you're driving. But just to get the feel right and to make sure that those calculations were correct and they felt good. But you also use the seat position and move yourself backwards or forwards, more back than anything, just to get the ratio of the dash correct so it lined up. So your hands are in the way, you can see the hands there. I've got another computer down here, this is the old system, it's about 10 years old now, but that's going to basically be a streaming machine, so we can run, that'll still do 1080p video, so we can stream off that running multiple cameras and that sort of thing eventually. Now, I only started this 2 months ago, and I started with our old 30-inch monitor, which, it does the job, but it's quite small these days. And then I dug out some old 24-inch monitors, put them on the sides, but because they're not the same size, it doesn't quite work that well. I managed to put them into portrait mode onto the sides. I think I got a photo of that somewhere. But then to calculate the field of view, if you're working it out on the calculators, you want 3 of the exact same monitors. And because these were different, I ended up measuring the whole thing, divided it by 3, and then did that as the main measurement, which kind of got close. But then you also didn't have some of the things on the side didn't line up. If you're looking at corners, the apexes and things, you just couldn't quite hit it right, but it did the job for about probably a month, and that's when these monitors came up for free. So I've only really had these monitors in place for about a month-ish. So I originally started on iRacing, been onto that for a little while, but then watching all you guys on YouTube, I found a set of Corsa. I've got that installed now, and I've also been playing BeamNG, which is hilarious. So future plans, I want to put bezels up and over the top, sort of maybe detachable with Velcro tabs so I can remove it and still treat the place like a lounge room. I also want to bolt the pedals to the ground. They're currently sitting on carpet up against the edge of the sliding door, but the thing is our door is right here, so when someone comes through the door, it hits the pedals out of the way, and if I'm in the middle of a race, what happens. I want to bolt them to a wooden board and maybe on a correct angle, so the pedals are at the angle of a real car, and bolt that to the frame of the desk somehow. Now the desk is just made of scaffold, So scaffold I got for free, all this wood I got for free. I did have a big desk in the place, like it was huge. It took up nearly all this area anyway, of this 2-tiered massive desk that we had the computer on. We used that as a TV as well. So I stripped all that down, used the stuff again. Also found that I couldn't quite fit directly where I needed to go. I fit in correctly. So I've shoved a bit of wood under here so that the wheel is angled down a little bit and it feels rather than on the weird angle. So, and the chair doesn't quite fit in properly, so I've actually had to chop a chunk out of the desk here for that to slide in, and it's quite difficult to get in. So you can sit in the chair and shuffle yourself into place, which is a bugger when that screen keeps turning itself off, but I've figured that problem out, so I don't have to get up every 5 seconds anymore. This monitor's just built into an old coffee table. It's all just attached to homemade mounts that I've built and attached to these. This is just all I've got at the moment. So eventually this is going to be built into a cabinet. I've got the surround center speaker built in here, which works when you slide it out into place. But this will eventually be on wheels, like a proper cabinet wheels, so we can just roll it round. There's a huge sort of loom of cables here which allow me to move it around the room. But apart from that, I'm quite happy with it. The setup works really well. I got my C-Class license within 2 months. But now I've sort of been playing Assetto Corsa a bit more, just because it allows you to race all the different cars and you have a lot of the tracks without having to pay more money. So the problem is I got to C-Class and now I've got to buy more tracks. And I just don't have the money to spend on that at the moment. If you're thinking that, oh, there's no way I could possibly build a rig like this in a tiny, tiny lounge room, just think that it is possible. You just got to think a little bit out of the box, and maybe you might have to double up on a screen and just move it out of the way and not leave it set up all the time. And there you go, and that's our main TV. The only other thing you've got to do is go through and switch the other monitors off, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but turn them off, make this your main monitor, and then you just use it like a normal computer. And you can see it fits quite well. I use the newspaper to chock up one leg to get it to line up perfectly, but you know, it's possible. So tell your wife that you want to build a triple screen sim rig in the lounge room, and before she digs the divorce papers out, just do what I did. Throw in a bribe. So normally I would do all the cooking and she would do the dishes, but now I've said I will do all the cooking and all the dishes for the rest of the year. It is possible. Now it's New Year's Eve, so you can make this one of your New Year's resolutions. Gonna get a sim rig. Now I'm gonna sit down with a beer and do some more sim racing. Cheers, guys.